Hello, everybody, and welcome to the giant conversation that is Topic Talks. I'm your host, Aaron Klingingsmith, and today we've only got Mark. We don't have any other special guests. Say hi, Mark.
Hello, everybody.
Mark is no longer a special guest because he's been on our show how many times now?
Oh, how many episodes are we at?
29.
29. Okay, I think I've maybe made four,
5.
a lot more than five. Probably more like 12, maybe 14.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I started hopping on when we started doing the 2-hour episodes.
That might have been then.
Yeah.
Because we've been doing that for a while. By the way, speaking of that, if you do like our 2-hour episodes, we seem to be getting a pretty good
Following?
following with our 2-hour episodes. So if you like that, I would like you to respond to me on Facebook. Just let me know that you like it. That way, I can keep, paying for it and getting all the features like that, just so we can have our 2-hour episode. It's really awesome to see kind of the reaction that we've been getting after the shows, and how many people have watched live and or listened live, and how many people have listened, after when they're able to. So that's really cool, and I thank all of you for that. So we do have a lot of ground to cover today. The couple things that I'll kind of give you a little short snippet here. We've got, we're gonna do a tribute to Gene Wilder. We're also going to talk about Adele, and we're gonna talk about a kid who got accepted to his dream school. So stay tuned for that. Then we've got our Mark's Multiverse and Movie Madness Monday coming up. So let's get started because we got a lot to cover and only 2 hours to do it. So the first thing that I want to bring up is, sadly, the famous actor who is known for Willy Wonka has passed away at the age of 83. Yes, I'm talking about Gene Wilder. Some other films that he's best known for are Young Frankenstein and Stir Crazy. This is kind of sad. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, honestly, at first when I went on Facebook today and I saw that, I honestly didn't believe it. Because you know what? The fact of Gene Wilder moving on is a thought that never even crossed my mind. And as an actor, he seemed kind of timeless.
Well, yeah, and he hasn't been really doing much recently, so, a lot of people think of him as Willy Wonka and just never really thought about the fact that,
Just kind of thought of him as forever eternal.
kind of. Um, so it was released. It's reported that he passed due to complications from Alzheimer's, which is something that he suffered with. His nephew also released a statement saying, "We understand for all the emotional and physical challenges this situation presented. We have been among the luckiest ones. This illness, unlike so many other cases, have never stole the ability to recognize those that were close to him, nor took command of his central, gentle, life-affirming core personality. The decision to wait until this time to disclose his condition wasn't vanity, but more so the countless young children that would smile or call out to him, there's Willy Wonka." So they're trying to preserve that
That image.
yeah, that image of him, which that was an awesome movie. I'm really mad that Johnny Depp and all them went and kind of wrecked it with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I had so much hope for a sequel, and they just ruined it.
There's a lot about Gene Wilder that makes him an amazing actor. And you know what? So much of it is, hearing about the original Willy Wonka. It's like I swear, like Gene Wilder had to have so much fun with that movie because here's the thing, he when they were making that show or movie, he knew and was doing so many things in the script that other people didn't even know about. I mean, like other actors were genuinely surprised to his or to the way he was. Like, for example, early in the movie when they are about to be coming into the factory and they're expecting this amazing Willy Wonka, and he comes out with like a cane. Even the other actors didn't expect that. They thought they were going to be seeing this amazing character come flying out, but I know he's just like stumbling out with a cane, and then he pretends to fall over, and he does the tuck and roll kind of thing or whatever, and it caught everyone off guard. They thought he was actually stumbling,
Yeah.
And later on in the movie too, when they were on that chocolate tugboat ride or whatever, and the lights went dark and it was all red and all that stuff.
And it got really like scary.
That was genuine fear in the other actors. I mean, they
Yeah.
didn't know that. They knew the words in the script and all that, but they had no idea how it was going to be portrayed in action.
Yeah, I heard a lot about that. I actually watched an interview with Gene Wilder, and he was talking about how only him and the producers knew about that, like all those scary pictures being put up, and or like although just the weird and how it was going to be portrayed. Him, and the producers were the only ones that knew that, and that's it's actually kind of tool and
Hmm.
that's awesome, that they do because then you do get that genuine surprise look. In one of my favorite shows, it's called MASH. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Well, it's a show about basically the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
and it's about an army surgical hospital, a mobile surgical hospital, and they're not very mobile. They stay in basically the same spot for the entirety of the show, except for the end they'll move. But one of the things that they did is um, about the third season, the guy who played the colonel, the guy that was in charge,
Hmm.
got his orders that he can go home, and he was one that was drafted, and well, he enlisted, or no, he was drafted. Yeah, he was drafted, and none of them wanted to be there, and he was right there with them, and um, he played this certain kind of character that everybody loved. Well, what they did is, he got into this suit and got on a helicopter, and then the next thing you see is the clerk. It was so he was really good friends. The clerk comes in and like gives the news that his plane had crashed over the Sea of Japan and nobody had survived.
Oh my God, yes, I remember hearing about that.
But the cool part about it was none of the cast knew it. Not even the guy who made the announcement. They literally just said, "Hold on, there's one more part we need to do." They handed him the script. They handed everybody the script, and they handed him a little card, and he walked in and did the scene. And so those were like genuine. That was genuine surprise and sadness. And I mean, of course, they were sad that the actor was leaving.
Yeah, it was like a surprise script kind of
But
deal.
yeah, and it was. I feel like sometimes when they do that, it brings that genuine surprise. Actually, adds something to the movie.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think that's definitely I think that's an underutilized tool in the industry these days. I mean, when you see, a producer or actors, put that kind of work into action, it creates these genuine feelings and these genuine reactions that really just bring the genuine, factor into the mix, and it really brings up everything, and it's great.
Yeah, it's really cool when they do stuff like that. And like I said, I was watching an interview with Gene Wilder, and he revealed that, and I'm like, that would make sense. There was like so the fear and the screaming that you heard was actual fear and screaming that wasn't scripted. Which is kind of cool, and that's kind of what made it, because it sounded like it was real screaming, and you're like, oh, those are good actors. Well, no, they were really screaming, they were really scared, and it really was a surprise.
Yeah, I know one of the whole cane thing when he walked out of the factory with the cane too and doing the tuck and roll thing.
Right.
That was one of the what's it called prerequisites, like in agreement for Gene. He said that he would only do the part if he could do that. I think it was that very scene there. That was one of the big things he wanted to do to really mix things up. So that's I mean that's
Well, and
one of the ways he would do the role.
he's somebody who's done a lot of movies.
Yeah.
We've only talked about a couple. The only other one that I've seen that he's in is Young Frankenstein, which is an awesome
Yes,
movie.
it is. I've seen Young Frankenstein myself, and it's absolutely amazing. I love Igor in that movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's such a character. Like,
Yeah. It's so Young Frankenstein is about a doctor named Frankenstein who created this creature who we know as Frankenstein. Like he'd be like, "Oh no, that's Frankenstein." No, the doctor is the one that is named Frankenstein. I can't remember what they named the creature.
Yeah, I don't remember
It
what
was
they
something
named
like
him.
Paul or something. It was some
It was
like
Frankenstein's monster kind of deal.
kind of normal name.
Hmm.
Anyway, so they gave him this normal name, and the doctor's name was Frankenstein. And I'm trying to remember how it goes. Like everybody's scared of the monster.
The monster was driven into hiding. I remember that, and
Right, and in the end of the movie, what ends up happening is the doctor and the monster like basically switch brains. They get like shocked and switched personalities, and so
Mhm.
he becomes his creation. And because the girl that he loved kind of became Frankenstein's wife,
Mhm.
so he did that and became the creature, and then so that like it was kind of a cool how they did it. So it was like Frankenstein was actually now the monster, so that was now his name, and
Wasn't it somehow for the better too? Like they were both happy about the switch.
yeah,
I don't remember why Dr. Frankenstein was happy about the switch, but I know that, the monster Frankenstein, when it switched into the doctor's body, he was happy about it because he was with the woman he loved, and I just remember like it kind of like closed up on in bed kind of scene. It didn't, show anything like that, but
right.
it put two to get, or it gave us the two and two, to put together. And I mean, there was just a lot of funny parts in that movie. Like I said, Igor was was it pronounced like that in the movie? I know it's been pronounced like that other places, but he was a character himself. He's really funny. Like there was one scene where they were just down, just like everything crappy happened and everything, and Igor's like, well, it could be worse. And Dr. Frankenstein's like, yeah, how could it be worse, Igor? And he's like, well, it could be raining. And right then, it's like just like lightning and thunder hits, and it gets ready to start raining. And that was a really funny part for me. And there was something else too. Like they would say something, and it would scare the horse. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I haven't seen this movie in a while.
Oh yeah, you see, I just watched it like last year.
I was gonna say I do know it was directed by Mel Brooks, who is an awesome director.
And then you had
And he was
Gene
in it, I
Wilder.
think. No, he was a writer. Gene Wilder wrote it along with Mel Brooks, and they've done a lot together. I've heard a lot of the Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder did a lot of collaborations on different movies. But if you haven't seen it, Young Frankenstein is a really good movie. And it's really, I can't even describe it. It's
Yeah,
really good.
it's a one of its kind of movie. It's back in the days when movies were still black and white, but that doesn't bring down the value of it at all. It's
And
an amazing movie.
It's kind of creepy and it's funny and it's a really great movie. So if you are a fan of Gene Wilder, I would really suggest that you see it. If you have seen it and you liked it, I would suggest that you see it again because it's a great movie.
Or even if you like old black and white or funny stuff in general, watch it. It's hilarious.
So anyway, back to Gene Wilder. So Alzheimer's was not the first serious illness he has ever encountered. In 1989, he was diagnosed with lymphoma.
Now, what is lymphoma again?
It's a cancer of the blood.
Oh man.
So he made it past that. There wasn't too much information on that, but he was diagnosed with that in 1989. And then in 1971 is when he, took the role as Willy Wonka. And
Which we all know and love.
I was gonna say that's one of the roles that everybody knows. I mean, you look him up on IMDb and.
That's the first thing that pops up for Gene Wilder. Willy Wonka was like his big...
I was gonna say, if you look at his picture, I think his picture is like him in the Willy Wonka outfit. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not.
Yeah, his picture literally is Willy Wonka on it. But I don't know. Believe it or not, I actually saw the Johnny Depp version of
that was
Willy Wonka first.
It was garbage.
Yeah, I didn't care for it, and then I went back and I watched the old original one. And it was just so much better. Like, even seeing the bad new one first, it's like, oh, okay, that was not that great. Maybe the old one was better. And I watched it, and the old one was absolutely amazing.
Well, and my problem was, when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh, cool, because it was named Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So I'm like, oh, cool, they're going to make one where, because in the end of Willy Wonka, he kind of passed the chocolate factory over to Charlie. So I'm like, oh, they're going to make a sequel. I think it's going to be really good. And everybody's like, oh no, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible. I'm like, I got faith. Yeah, it was horrible. But the problem is they tried to remake the movie. You don't need to remake it if it's not broke, or if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. They could have. Yeah, I mean, if they would have done a sequel, it probably still wouldn't have been as good as the first one, but it wouldn't have been that bad.
See, and a sequel would have been kind of cool because they could have followed a little bit of a different storyline.
hmm
You know.
One thing I'd like them to. I was reading an article about it a little while ago while we were doing prep for the show. But there wasn't a lot on it. But they were talking about that old movie. I think it was by Disney. It was called The Iron Giant.
Yes.
And I was reading through the article. They didn't say anything about remaking or anything like that. Only how it got more popular after it hit VHS.
You're right.
And I think that would be a movie that would be really cool to see them do a remake of.
Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty cool movie to see a remake of. There's a lot of movies that I would like to see either a remake or
A sequel.
a sequel. And I mean, I'm talking like some of them are iconic movies, but the problem is some movies you get a sequel and you make a lot of money on it, and then it kind of turns into like a Rocky type thing, where one was awesome, two did really good at the box office because Rocky 1 was so awesome, but it wasn't as good, and then they did 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, and I don't even know how many Rocky movies there are.
I don't know how many there are either.
And
But it's a sad thing to see that kind of stuff happen, where a movie does so good that they want to just keep doing it over and over and over again, and they just expect to just keep making money, and they don't care about the quality of the product. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, they try and all that stuff, but they don't do good, and they butcher it half the time.
yeah, that's one of the main problems that we have is they look at the dollar signs and not really the content that they're putting out, and honestly they'd make more money if they thought about the content that they were putting out rather than just kind of sit on their butt and go, oh, let's make money, let's do a sequel, or let's remake this movie. Because I mean, like I said, the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory I feel was just trash. I mean, I love Johnny Depp. I loved Alice in
he's
Wonderland.
absolutely
I love a lot of his movies. And there was something about that movie that I really don't like, and it just irritates me.
It was just, yeah. You would think, it's hard to say that, like, think of Johnny Depp doing a movie that is not good, because I love almost like most of the movies of his I've seen.
Edward Scissorhands was a great movie.
Personally, my favorite Johnny Depp movies are Pirates of the Caribbean.
See, but I feel like that wasn't even his best work.
No,
I mean, it was good.
No, it still wasn't even his best work, but I still think I mean, I like Pirates. Pirates are cool.
I was gonna say because he did. Oh, what's the name of that? The Demon Barber on Fleet Street.
I didn't see that
It's
one.
Oh, this is gonna bug me.
Have you seen that one movie he was in where he was a vampire? It was called Dark Shadows.
Yes.
That one was okay. I liked it. I wouldn't say it was a bad movie. It was worth watching. I wouldn't say it was worth buying, but it was definitely worth watching. It was an interesting movie. I like the concept of it. A vampire gets buried and wakes up in the current century, and it's like, whoa, what's going on?
The movie that I was trying to talk about was Sweeney Todd. You haven't seen that one?
Sweeney Todd. I've heard of it, but what's it about?
It's actually a very, very, very dark movie. It's kind of like a normal Johnny Depp and Tim Burton movie.
Oh yeah, him and Tim Burton, they're like best friends.
No, Sweeney Todd is about this barber. It's actually called the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. And what it is it's got actually Tim Burton's wife, the girl who played in Harry Potter.
Who'd you play? What part did you play?
I don't remember. She was kind of like she was one of Lord Voldemort's followers. She was the girl that was really crazy and weird.
The blonde one?
No, the black-haired one.
The black-haired one. Oh wait, maybe it was a black-haired one. Yeah, she's like super crazy. Oh man, I'm forgetting. Yeah. Her name's drawing a blank. Too.
Anyway.
But anyways, I know who you're talking about.
So she played in this movie, and it's kind of a musical. And what it is he comes into this new town, and she makes these what's called meat pies, and like they were horrible. Nobody would eat them. She couldn't sell any. They tasted horrible. And this movie is basically about how he like slits people's throats. Like he's trying to do he cuts their hair and he goes to shave and just like cuts their throats, and presses a pedal and it drops him down, and it's a very, very, very dark movie. And like I said, it is a musical, so there's a lot of singing in it. Um, and
Man, yeah, I can't find her name either. I'm looking for. I want to say her name was like Bellatrix or something, right?
yeah, that's what it was. It was Bellatrix.
Was it? Yeah, I think it was that one. I was looking up a list of it and I couldn't. I just couldn't place it.
But anyway, no, it's a very dark movie, but it's very, very, very good. Another one of Johnny Depp's that I like is what's it called? He plays the character Ichabod Crane.
Oh, that does sound
He's
familiar.
it's a story of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman.
Oh yes, yeah, the Tale of Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow.
Mhm.
That was a really good movie.
That was that was probably up there in like my top. Well, besides Pirates of the Caribbean, that's probably my favorite Johnny Depp movie. But
I don't know. There's a lot of really, really, really good Johnny Depp movies.
Oh yeah, he's a really, really good actor.
I was gonna say Tim Burton is kind of the same thing. There's a lot of really good Tim Burton movies that were done.
Yeah, they're definitely a power duo when it comes to making movies.
They are.
But you know what? His Willy Wonka remake was just god awful. It's hard to say think of Johnny Depp doing a bad movie, but the remake for Charlie's Chocolate Factory was by no means a good movie.
Right.
But and it's sad to see the original Willy Wonka go.
Yeah, it really is.
But I mean, even then, it's like some of the quotes from those movies too. Or not even quotes, but like just some of the lines are just like hilarious. Like, you lose, you get nothing. Good day, sir.
I love the fact that Gene Wilder, like him and his Willy Wonka outfit, is a meme, and it's one of the biggest memes used.
Yes.
Like
tell me again how Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Well, there's a lot of them. People have remade, just taken that picture and made so many memes out of it. It's hilarious.
Definitely.
Anyway, so it's very, we were very sad to hear, or I was at least very sad to hear about his passing. But he did have a very long and great life and career.
Yes, he did. He lived an extraordinary life, Gene Wilder.
And it kind of seems like he enjoyed every minute of it. So, Gene, you will be sorely missed. And
rest in peace.
Yep.
So, moving on then.
Yep, moving on. So, I do have a question for all of you out there. What would you do if your favorite singer brought you up on stage and ended up agreeing to come to your wedding?
I'd be ecstatic. I wouldn't even know how to react.
Well, that is exactly what happened to a couple of fans at an Adele concert. Adele called Vincent Rossi and Ryan Solomon up on stage, and I watched a video on this because there's a video of it, and they're like, pretty far away from the stage, and somehow she could see them.
Yeah, because they were like dancing, like I think she literally described it as they were dancing like nobody was watching.
Yeah, they were dancing like nobody was there. And so she brought him up on stage and was asking him a whole bunch of questions like how old were they and all that. And they mentioned that they were getting married and asked her to come, and that she said she would love to come. Which I think says a lot for Adele. That I'd love to see if she actually does come.
Right, like I mean, getting down on the people's levels is one of the most I mean, not just as a publicity stunt or anything like that. It's amazing to see celebrities do that kind of thing. Like, I mean, even then, it's like a totally different note. Like, you got actors. I think Mark Wahlberg was one of them. But like with the Flint crisis, he was helping to I think it was Mark Wahlberg.
Mark?
Yeah. They were like delivering like water and food and all that to like the people of Flint.
Aren't they opening up a Wahlburgers somewhere in Detroit?
I believe they are.
So that might have been why he was in town. They were.
But seeing actors, do stuff like that, to help people in need is, or even in this scenario, just help, going, getting down on your fans' level and having fun with them, or just spending time with them. It's great, and you know what? It leaves an impression on those people. It makes the a celebrity might not remember it 10 years from now, but those people are going to remember that until the day they die. You know, like a totally different experience, but like my dad went somewhere one time. It was like the Autorama, and even though he didn't see my dad saw Mike Myers there, and he was doing his Austin Powers get up. And like I said, I'm positive he didn't see my dad there, but my dad saw him there, and that was pretty cool. And
Yeah, it's always cool when you get to see a celebrity.
mhm. And you know, you see that at a lot of conventions too. You see celebrities there. Like I went to YomaCon one year, and I met the voice actor for Gurr from Invader Zim, and he's quite a character in real life too. But he's a really cool guy. I forgot his name shamefully though. I'm not the best with names even for celebrities or voice actors, but you know, it's really cool to meet these people that you look up to and meet. Another person I met who was a famous voice actor was Chuck Huber. For any otaku out there, you'll know him from a lot of stuff. He was like Austria and in Italia. He was Dr. Frankenstein in the show called Soul Eater, and I actually cosplay him. But you know, he's a true character himself as well. I mean, he's just as crazy in real life as he is in his shows. But you know, meeting these people in real life is, I mean, like I said, even if they don't remember it, it's gonna leave an impression on you forever because it's just such an amazing experience. And being called up on stage by one of your favorite artists and asking them to go to your wedding and them saying yes, like, I mean, I wouldn't even know how to respond to that. I'd just be so excited.
Me either. And there's a lot of times when like you'll see people pulled up on stage, and it'll be like a couple, and a guy will propose to his girlfriend and things like that, and celebrities will play off that. And
And you mentioned their names were Vince and Ryan, so it was a gay couple, wasn't it?
it was.
And you know what? That's even cooler. I mean, a gay couple up on stage by Adele, and I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Mhm. But yeah, I I'd like to see how that wedding goes and see if she actually goes. That'd be awesome.
Right. Yeah. I think she will.
I mean,
I
Adele
mean,
seems like one of those cool down to earth celebrities.
I was gonna say she doesn't, because she does have a very busy schedule.
Yeah, to be able to even make time for a fan like that, that's still really cool.
Well, let's hope she can, because she may not be able to make it, but hopefully if she can't, she'll be able to send something, to
At
kind
the
of.
very least, yeah.
And I mean, they even said, I don't care if she comes at this point, just her bringing us
On stage,
up
yeah.
on stage. I can't talk today, guys.
Yeah, I can tell.
For her to bring them up on stage and say that she would go to their wedding is actually kind of cool. It says, like I said, it says a lot about her as a person, not just as a celebrity. So
Definitely very awesome.
okay, well, let's get to the final actual news story, and then we'll jump to Mark's multiverse. So this story I think is really cool. I think it's a really great note to end on. So there's a student that got some really exciting news. So his name's Jordan Huffman, and he has always wanted to go to the University of Georgia. He's wanted to go since middle school. So he's like, I'm ready. Well, the problem is he has Down syndrome. And the University of Georgia does not have a program for people with Down syndrome. Because there's other colleges who have programs and stuff so that, they can apply and get accepted and they can go to that school.
Right.
Well, he still applied anyway just to the school. He wanted to go, and his mom tried to encourage him to, apply at other schools that, did have a program that he could go to. And he completely refused.
Yeah, he was really passionate about going to the University of Georgia.
Well, he was, and he said the reason is that he wants to live on his own. He also wants to hang out with his friends, and a lot of people from his high school were going to be attending University of Georgia. So that's one of those things where he really, really wanted to go. Well, the cool part about it is the University of Georgia shortly announced shortly after um, that they're opening a program for people,
With disabilities.
um, with Down syndrome specifically.
Really? Now,
Yes.
was that because of him, or was that
No,
just
it
pure
was.
coincidence?
I think it was just pure coincidence.
That is amazing.
But he applied,
That is
and he said
awesome.
he would apply as many times as he had to because it's
Hmm.
supposed to be very strict.
Right.
Um, but he got in. There's actually a video of his mom coming in. She videotaped. She went into his room and told him that he got a letter, and he opened it up, and he was really excited. He was actually quoted in the saying, I was so excited that I got to be a bulldog. So, um, and like all mothers are, his mom was a little bit concerned about him going away.
Right. Well, I think any normal mom would be.
Well, yeah, and especially when your son or daughter has Down syndrome, that makes it a lot harder because you've been, kind of their number one caregiver for a while. But I think it's really cool that, y- you know, people with Down syndrome now can, live on their own and they can learn how to do a lot of things, and it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're living in a world that's constantly changing, and it's times like this when it's like get a good feeling of us moving forward.
Yeah, it's I don't know. This was just a really good story for me. So it's really cool that he's is getting to attend the University of Georgia. It's a school he's wanted to go to, like I said, since middle school. All of his friends are going, and it does give him a chance to, live out on his own and figure out what it's like, and
And hang out with his friends.
yep, hang out with his friends, and that's what he wants to do. So I'm very happy for Jordan Huffman. Um, and it even said in the article, he said, when he puts his mind to something, he does it. When he is dead set on something, he achieves it no matter what, and that actually says something, because there's people who you could tell them a million times they won't do anything.
Right. That's the kind of passion that it takes for some things. I mean, how to put it? I don't even know how to put it. My brain just blanked on me for a second. But I mean, like having that kind of passion is really, I mean, it's hard to say no to somebody who won't give up like that. I mean, like me when it came to broadcasting, I was dead set about. I mean, well, not dead set about broadcasting, but about being in the media field. Ever since I was little, I wanted to be an actor, and everyone saw me going into this field. Even from the time that I was a little kid. And my mom, she, there were a lot of times where she's like, it's tough to make it in that kind of field or industry and all that, because at the time, our state did not have a market for that industry.
Right.
But I didn't change. I wanted to stick with it. I want no matter what, like, even if I looked into other things, I still
Right.
had intentions of going into the media field. And things started getting better, and then I found out about Specs Howard, and now here it is. We're in the final marking period of our program now, and we've made friends with everyone in the class, and it's gonna suck leaving because
Well,
I'm gonna
and
miss everyone.
it's really cool because so when I was younger, I kind of jumped around things that I wanted to do. I wasn't, and not a lot. I started off wanting to be a lawyer. I don't know why I wanted to be a lawyer. I hate doing
Mm.
paperwork. Don't like reading, but I wanted to be a lawyer. Um, so I wanted to do that for a while, and then I kind of figured out what it was gonna be like to be a lawyer, and then I'm like, well, I really don't know what I want to do. And then in high school, I took where I went to school. We had this thing called Skill Center, kind of in the general area of my school, and what it originally was is people who knew that they weren't going to go to college or didn't want to go to college. They had like an automotive class where you could get all these certifications, so you could get a job as a mechanic, and they had you could work with metal. They had like a welding. They have like a woodworking shop. So they had all these trades. Well, they started to get classes in like forensic science and homeland security and things like that. Well, when I got into high school, because you could only take it your junior senior year. They didn't let freshmen or sophomores in.
That's right. Got to earn that right.
And so what it was is, you had the option to sign up your junior year, and if you went your junior year, depending on what program you take, you could take either, because like I took the forensic science program, and I loved it, and there was the forensic science too. So my senior year, I took that second program. Well, and during that first program, I kind of fell in love with forensic pathology, which is everybody out there, it's that's kind of the study of the human body, but it's yes, in a morgue doing autopsies. You're the guy that you're the medical examiner. And so I really fell in love with that. Well, there was, I'm like, well, I'm not going to medical school, but I want to work in a morgue. And so I decided I wanted to do this autopsy assistant program. So, it was kind of like an assistant, which in this county does basically all the work, and the pathologist, he does a lot too, but there's kind of a certain thing. I'm trying not to get too in depth because there's probably people who might be a little bit grossed out. But the pathologist does something else, and the autopsy assistant does a lot of the actual autopsy. So that's kind of so, and I visited the morgue and I loved it and wanted to go, and yeah, I went my first year, which is just because they happen to have some openings. And then the second year, it was comprised of, because the first year, we went through every single field that's under this umbrella of forensic science. So, I mean, I'm talking about, handwriting analysis, forensic pathology, like forensic anthropology, you name it, we covered it a little bit. And so I went to the second year, and the second year was actually almost completely comprised of job shadowing. So I went to the histology lab, which is where, when you get surgery and you get something removed, they send it to this lab and they'll put it on slides and check it for, cancer cells and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I went there, I went to the morgue, I hung out with a prosecuting attorney, went to a police station. There's all these different places that I got to go to in job shadow, and it was like one giant project that was comprised of the whole year. And so, I was really into it, and so that's when I figured out I wanted to do that. So I went to a community college. My study habits weren't that great, so I didn't do so well in one of my classes. Like, I knew the material, but I just didn't do the online stuff, and I failed. And so then I took about a semester or two off, and I was trying to think about what I wanted to do, and my girlfriend's like, well, why don't you go on the radio? She's like, you love music, she's like, I think it'd be really cool for you that'd be something cool for you to do. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, but how would I get started? And so I started talking to different, radio DJs, and I stopped and talked to one, and he said, if you're gonna get into broadcasting, go to Specs. So that's exactly what I did. I went and I looked it up, made an appointment, went in, and ended up signing up that day. Went in to look about financial aid, and it was kind of like, and I've had a blast in this program. Like Mark said, we're in the last semester. We're in the last 8 weeks of our program.
I thought it was 6 weeks. Is it 8 weeks?
It's 8.
Oh, yes. Cool. That means a little more time there with all our friends and teachers.
So, so it's another 8, or our last 8 weeks, and we graduate in November. Well, we get done in October, but we graduate in November. And it's actually kind of like, I'm very excited. I'm very nervous. I don't even remember what we were originally talking about. Oh, anyway, so it's really cool when you can get into a school that, or get into a field that you've always wanted to go to, or get into a school that you've always wanted to go to.
It's like a real sense of purpose,
Well, it does, and it kind of makes you feel accomplished, just by getting in.
It's like being able to say, hey, I did it.
Right, and it's just, so, if you get anything out of this show, I want it to be this little piece of advice. If you are passionate about something, whether it's music or studying the human body or anything like that, if you're passionate about something, even if it's a hobby of yours, if you can turn it into a career, I think you should go for it. That's all I'm gonna say. But
Exactly. I'm trying to remember who quoted it, but as a wise man once said, what was it? You know what? I think it was Ben Franklin. If you or was it Einstein? Oh man, I don't.
what's the quote?
It was, if you truly enjoy what you're doing, you don't work a day of your life, or I think something like that. It was, if you get a career in what you love doing.
No, it's if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yes, and I think that was Ben Franklin, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I don't remember who quoted it, but it was a very, very effective quote. I think it was very good. But either way though, like, I mean, my Aunt Val is the one who originally mentioned Specs Howard to me. She's like, you would be really good in radio. You should check out this one school. It's called Specs Howard. And originally when I went to Specs Howard, I was going for radio. Even though like I always dreamed about being an actor. In the past couple years, I started listening to the radio a lot more. I started listening to 101.1 The Riff, and I love that show so much, especially like Dave and Chuck, the Freak, in the morning. I'm like, what? That would be such a cool career. And so I heard about Specs, and then my grandpa mentioned to me, he's like, yeah, you should do it. It's something that you love doing. And so I checked it out. And I went, and they had a real good pitch, and so I liked it. I signed up, and throughout the course of this program, I found out that I like TV better. So now I'm actually about to be interning at TV Warren, but I'm super excited, and I'm getting somewhere where I want to be, and it's such a fulfilling feeling, But I'm so excited, and I'm so happy with my life, with how it's all turning out, and I can't even believe it. It feels like we just started our program yesterday, and now it's almost over.
Yep, it is, and it has gone by quick. I was talking to some of our friends at school today, and we're like, we just started. What do you mean we're graduating already?
I mean, we only have until like the end of October, and here it is. Now we're doing this production assignment where we're gonna have to do like a feature in our television class, and we're actually going out in the field and actually working with the equipment and like actually putting something together. And it's crazy that we're already doing this. It really is. I mean, like, if you would have asked us, 9 months ago if we think we'd be doing this by now, we probably would have been, our minds would have been boggled by the idea,
Yeah.
Are you looking up that quote right now?
Yep.
Oh my god, you don't have to look it up. But anyways, was there anything else you wanted to mention about this? I for one am really happy about this. This what's his name, Jordan, who has Down syndrome, and he's always been dreaming about going to this university, and now he's actually going. I mean, I think it's the fact that they actually opened up that program just before like he wanted to go. I'm not sure if he had any influence on it or if they just happened to make that program, but that's really cool. I don't know if it that's a crazy coincidence. That is an answer to somebody's prayers. That's what that is.
Well, and it could have been something that they've been working on for a while, and they just.
Right, but I mean the odds that here it is, he's wanted to do this program for so long, and then a program for exactly that comes out. I mean it's.
It was Mark Twain that did that quote.
It was Mark Twain? Oh,
yes, Mark Twain. The quote is, find a job you'll enjoy doing and you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Mark Twain. That's the best way to put it. And it's true. It's true. If you love what you do, it's not even work. You go to have fun every day, and that's what really makes it great.
Well, and then that's something that like I said with that forensic program, I loved going there every day, because I get to get away from school, but I love the people I was working with. I love the the material that we were learning, and I mean I plan on pursuing it after I start my radio career as just a hobby, something that I enjoy learning more about and studying, but broadcasting is right now what I'm passionate about. I'm really excited to kind of jump into the field and see how well I can do.
Did you have a radio station that you were really kind of looking at?
I've applied at Cars 108
Cars 108.
out of Flint.
Oh, okay.
So I'm waiting to hear back, but I'll be excited to go to any radio station. It'll be a new experience. It'll be exciting.
It'll be a whole new world for you.
It will be. It really will. So, I just want to say congratulations to Jordan Huffman. Go after whatever your dreams are, because obviously, you've already made it into your dream college. So now what comes next is my big question. What are you going to do next?
The sky is the limit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, ending on that note, I'm going to kick it over to Mark for his multiverse. So here's Mark's multiverse.
Here, pass me the baton.
There's no baton.
It's fine, I'll pass it to myself.
There's no baton.
Okay, so yeah, got a bit for you guys today. It's a lot of technology space.
A bit is what we were just doing about the baton. This is a pair. Well, two pages.
You know what? There is no limit to the boundaries of science. Okay, Aaron.
Yes, there is.
Anyways, so the first story, these topics that I'm doing, it sounds like I do topics on the same stuff every week, updates and all that stuff.
Yes, it does.
But here it is. I'm bringing us back around. You guys have heard me talk about self-driving cars before. Well, I'm at it again. I'm found another article, and it just keeps updating. But self-driving taxis. The world's first self-driving taxis began picking up passengers in Singapore starting Thursday. Select members of the public can hail a free ride through their smartphones in taxis operated by Nutonomy, an autonomous vehicle software startup. Multiple companies, including Google and Volvo, have been testing self-driving cars on the public roads for several years, but Nutonomy says it's the first to offer the rides to the public. Its launch in Singapore is beating ride-hailing service Uber. That's right, it's beating Uber, people. Which plans to offer rides in autonomous cars in Pittsburgh in a few weeks. Nutonomy is starting a small, 6 cars now, growing to a dozen by the end of the year. The ultimate goal, the company executives say, is to have a fully self-driving taxi fleet in Singapore by 2018, and then spreading to other countries. The cars have a driver in the front who is prepared to take back the wheel and a researcher in back who watches the car's computers. Each car is fitted with 6 sets of LiDAR, a detection system that uses lasers to operate like radar, including one that constantly spins on the roof. There are also 2 cameras on the dashboard to scan for obstacles and detect changes in traffic lights. Doug Parker, Nutonomy's chief operating officer, said autonomous taxis could ultimately reduce the number of cars in Singapore roads from 900,000 to 300,000. That's 66%, 2/3. The company hopes...
2/3, really?
Yeah. That's most of the traffic gone.
That's fascinating.
No, that's absurd. That's crazy, but it's amazing.
It's fascinating.
But the company hopes to head its start in autonomous driving will eventually lead to partnerships with automakers, tech companies, logistic companies, and others. I know we've talked about automated cars before, and I know some people are iffy on the idea, and some people like the idea. First of all, I just gotta say, I like the way they're going about it, but at the same time, I can totally crack a joke about it. Here it is, they got a backup driver to take the wheel just in case, and a researcher in the back who watches the car's computers. I think that's a good way to get it working, but I also think it's funny because here it is, it takes one person to drive a car, and the way they're doing it, by trying to make it automated, they're essentially making sure the car is driven by 2 people now. And I honestly, I read that, or when I read that the first time, I thought that was actually a little bit funny. But I like where it's going. The more I look into it today, the more I see that people are working on this kinds of science. Automated vehicles, public transit systems that can overcome traffic and, make our, roads more efficient, make our travel and transport more efficient. I just said efficient, but, more effective. And, it's, now, like, we're in a day and age where we're actually seeing this stuff implemented into our lives and someday our everyday lives. And it's, it's mind-boggling seeing how all this stuff is so quickly moving forward. What do you think, Aaron?
I think it is mind-boggling. There's a lot that we have to still research about this specific topic. Like I said, I'm not sure if I trust it. But it is really fascinating how much traffic it can kind of eliminate and how much it can kind of I mean it kind of reminds me of like the Jetsons, how everybody's flying around and you never see the ground. But I feel like if we ever get to that point, sometimes we need to go back down, kind of feel what grass is.
Like I said, I think I mentioned another week too that it kind of reminds me of iRobot, but hopefully robots won't take over the world or try to take over the world. And another solution this brings to us is their taxis. You would think bringing automated vehicles into our society, our world, would first of all be a really tough feat because not everybody could afford such technology or such a vehicle. But creating a taxi company that's based off of self-driving vehicles, self-driving taxis, it helps to overcome that and introduce it into our society and first of all prove if it's worthy as a part in our world, but seeing how safe it is and testing it in a way that it's affordable and everybody can give it a chance and see how it goes.
I don't know if there will be everybody. I don't know if everybody will give it a chance. Like I said, it's something that I'm still very skeptical about, and I don't know. There's something that I like about driving around myself and actually being able to, I'm the one that has the control, not everybody else.
You see, for me, I think it's kind of dependent on, first of all, what kind of car you're driving, and second of all, how far you're driving. I mean, for like a long distance, say if you're going on a road trip, I gotta say driving is such a tiresome chore. I remember driving back from Cedar Point one time and I was so like pent up and strained just from the long drive that I just had to pull over and just relax for a little while. But I think I would totally dig having a self-driving vehicle in that kind of situation. However, for like little drives downtown or if you have like a classic car or something like that, driving it is part of the fun. And I think that's what makes, driving a car worth it. But I mean, not everyone's a car enthusiast and not everybody has a classic car to drive around, So really, I think it's gonna be different for everyone. I know that someday there's gonna be a day where we're gonna say, I remember back when I used to drive my car, and then our grandkids will be like, wait, what? You actually drove your car? It's crazy.
It is very crazy. I've got to agree with you on that. Um, I don't know. The technology's here, but I don't know how well it'll be accepted.
Yeah, I mean, every new thing in our world is going to be greeted with some controversy and skepticism. So we're really going to have to see where it goes before we really, implement it into our lives every day. But I mean, we'll see where it goes. I know I report on this all the time here, so I know this isn't the last you'll hear from me about automated vehicles. I'm sure you'll hear about it again. But yeah, do you have anything left to say on that topic, Aaron?
No, I think I'm pretty much good.
Okay. Well then, moving on to the next one. You guys have heard me talk about this one again before too. Juno, the NASA satellite going to check out on Jupiter. Basically, it's finally successfully completed its first low-altitude swing around Jupiter early Saturday, passing within about 2,600 miles of the giant planet's cloud tops at a velocity of some 130,000 miles per hour. That's pretty fast.
That's very fast.
On June 31st, the solar-powered spacecraft reached a high point of that 53-day orbit and began falling back towards Jupiter, making its first post-capture close approach Saturday at 9:44 a.m. EDT GMT 4. I'm not very good with all those time codes, but Juno will fly through one more 53-day orbit before a critical October 19th rocket firing that will drastically lower the high point of the ellipse, putting the spacecraft in a planned 14-day science orbit, repeatedly passing between 2,600 and 4,900 miles above Jupiter's cloud tops. During the Jupiter orbit insertion maneuver July 4th, Jupiter's camera and science instruments were turned off, but the full suite of instruments was operating Saturday, collecting data about Jupiter's deep interior, its powerful magnetic fields, the radiation environment, and the hidden structure of its stormy atmosphere. We are getting some some intriguing early data returns as we speak, Bolton said in the NASA statement. It will take days for all the science data collected during the flyby to be downlinked, and even more to begin to comprehend what Juno and Jupiter are trying to tell us. Again, I know I've talked about it before, but I think this kind of stuff is really cool. I mean, here it is. We're discovering so much about one of the biggest planets in our solar system. I remember back in elementary school, I'd see pictures of Jupiter in the science books, and I'd see that big red spot on it, and I'd be like, what is that? And my teacher would be like, oh, it's a giant gas hurricane, or something like that. But, it's, one of the reasons I love the universe so much is just because it's so infinite,
I do, but I don't find it that fascinating. I'm not gonna lie. I used to get bored when they would talk about planets in school.
Yeah, it took me a little while to get into it too, but I mean, over time it grows on you. I mean, lately, like I've been playing that game No Man's Sky where you literally explore the universe.
I think we talked about this for a little while.
Yeah, we did. Like I said, we talked about the week with Justin here.
Yep.
And it's a fun game, but at the same time, just the other day, I'm just like, the universe is big. I think I need to take a little bit of a breather. But it's so vast. It makes you think about Star Trek. Their whole purpose is to explore the universe, explore new worlds, and I might be going to see Star Trek for a second time this next week with my dad. We'll see. I'm hoping to, because that was a really good movie. Did you see it?
Which one?
The new Star Trek?
I did not. I haven't seen, like, the first Star Trek movie that came out of the new... Like, I've seen the original series.
Right.
But I haven't seen any of the new stuff.
You see, I gotta go back and rewatch all the originals, like the originals. Those were some really good movies. Star Trek was a series that was truly ahead of its time. But anyways, continuing on about space, I'm gonna talk about our planet next door. After scanning the vast reaches of the cosmos for Earth-like planets where life might exist, astronomers have found one right next door. A planet that is rocky like Earth and only slightly bigger has been discovered orbiting Proxima Centauri, the nearest star to our solar system. Scientists reported Wednesday. It is probably in a not too hot, not too cold Goldilocks zone where liquid water, a key to life, is possible if the planet has an atmosphere, and it is a mere 4.22 light years from Earth, or in translation, 25 trillion miles. They're calling it Proxima b, and while it could be like Earth in the important features, it will probably still look very alien. While Proxima b is much closer to Proxima Centauri than Mercury is the Earth's sun, which is pretty close, the planet is within a much cooler star's habitable zone, meaning water could exist in the world's sunlit side, raising at least the possibility of life. It is easily the closest potentially habitable planet ever detected outside our solar system, and one that could be reachable by tiny, uncrewed space probes before the end of the century, in time for some people alive today to witness it. So it's going to be a while, but we're on our way. The discovery of a nearly Earth-sized planet orbiting the Sun's nearest neighbor is a major step toward confirmation that such worlds are in fact common. It is 4.6 million miles from its red dwarf star, or just 1/20th of the distance between Earth and the Sun. That would likely mean an incredible orange sky with no blue, so it would look like a perpetual sunset all the time. The planet doesn't rotate, so one side is always facing the star and the other side is always dark and colder. It is bombarded with X-rays and ultraviolet light, but that wouldn't necessarily be fatal to life, since life can exist underground, scientists said. Scientists in the past 20 years have found more than 3,000 planets outside our solar system, or exoplanets, and more than 40 of them seem to be in the habitable zone. Many exoplanets have been found and many more will be found, but searching for the closest potential Earth analog and succeeding has been the experience of a lifetime for us all. The search for life on Proxima b comes next. There are still many questions, especially the crucial one of whether the planet has an atmosphere. A habitable rocky planet around Proxima would be the most natural location to where our civilization could aspire to move after our sun will die 5 billion years from now. Now, the thing is, 5 billion years is a long time, but someday it's going to happen. So, in my opinion, I feel that as a race, the humans, mankind, its chances are to, if it wants to survive in the long run, it's going to have to find another planet outside of our sun's zone, because when our sun goes red giant, it's going to get so big that it's going to be big enough to take out all the solid planets in our solar system.
Can we ride on the back of a giant space whale?
That would be that would be something else. But
You know what I'm referring to, right?
I mean, I know I saw a few episode of Futurama similar to that. What are you talking about?
Doctor Who.
Okay, Doctor Who. I'm not a Whovian, but
Oh.
hey, you know what though? I might be someday. Okay, if it makes you feel any better.
You should start today.
I have a long list of shows. I still gotta start Game of Thrones.
Doctor Who is more important.
We'll see. But either way, I could go on and on about my philosophies and theories of space and our continuation as a species. But
And on and on and on and on.
You know what? The conversation about space with me can it can go on and on and on, just like our universe. But either way, so I mean, it's really exciting to think that someday we're gonna be able to get inhabit and colonize another world, and when we can learn to do that, or when we can find a suitable planet where we can actually colonize, that is something that's going to change our species radically. I mean, just imagine living on a different world, and just the odds of survival for mankind would increase exponentially. Like, for example, say we were living on two worlds and something catastrophic happened, and a meteor, like a giant meteor, hit one of the worlds, and God forbid, and it annihilated everything on the planet. We'd still have another planet that has people on it. Or when the sun inevitably goes red giant 5 billion years from now, and it's going to take out all the solid planets in our system, we'll have another planet colonized. So, I mean, the human race will cease, or it won't cease. It'll
That way it won't cease and it'll thrive on another planet.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I think finding another planet and colonizing it is, a crucial step in mankind's survival.
Now, the real question is something living on that planet?
Yeah,
Ooh.
You know what? By the time we find a habitable planet, there may very well be something else on that planet. We'll see someday. Well, we might not see, but mankind will see one day. But that will bring Mark's Multiverse to a close for the day, and we can move on to Movie Madness Monday.
Woo! Movie Madness Monday. I really wish I would have recorded it last week, because Anthony and Justin did the coolest thing ever. They're like, Movie Madness Monday. And then one of them was like, Movie Madness Monday. It was really sweet. I'm not even going to be able to try to do it. But that does bring us to Movie Madness Monday. Thank you, Mark, for that. Your multiverse is always very
out of this world.
Out of this world. as stereotypical as that sounds.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting on to our Movie Madness Monday. So I have some very bad news for the fans of Pretty Little Liars. Your fears are confirmed. Season 7 will be the final season of Pretty Little Liars. But it won't stop with the summer finale, which airs tomorrow on Freeform. So you gotta get on Freeform tomorrow, because the summer finale will be on. But that won't be the last. After the summer finale, there will be 10 episodes to kind of wrap up any loose ends that they may have left.
That kind of sounds like another season.
Not really, because seasons are usually a lot longer than that. It's just 10 episodes, and I think it's part of the same season.
Okay, but it's going to be airing next summer?
It's going to be airing in 2017.
So yeah, next summer.
Yep. And the showrunners, Marilyn King says that it has been an honor to work with such a talented cast and crew over the last 7 years. We are a family, and it will be hard to say goodbye. She was also quoted, "I am excited for fans to finally have all of their questions answered, and I believe that they will be satisfied with the wild ride that is our last 10 episodes." So, like I said, the season finale, the season finale starts tomorrow on Freeform, so you're gonna want to get on Freeform and check that out. This is a series that I got into, and a lot of people might make fun of me for getting into it, but I liked it because of the mystery.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of Pretty Little Liars because my girlfriend's into it, and yeah, you know what? It's an interesting show to say the least. It's not really my style kind of show, but I can see why people love it. I mean, here it is. You know, you got all these girls and they're really close friends, and then there's
one of them dies.
Yeah, one of them dies, and there's this killer named A, and they can't even they have the hardest time finding out who he is. And you know, A is like a constantly changing character. Like literally, the character that A represents is it's like almost different like every season, right?
Yeah, every season, because the person who is A,
they eventually end up finding out, and then
changes
else.
Every season. You know, the person who's doing all of the horrible things and sending all of these text messages changes every season, but there is an ultimate power that is A that is controlling these people. And it's kind of cool because nobody's off limits, nobody's safe, nobody's free. Everybody is a pawn in this game. And that's kind of what I really liked about it. I do need to catch up because, you know, I got my girlfriend's like, "Oh, why don't we watch it together since we both watch it?" And I'm like, "Okay." So, and I had them all recording, and we never watched them, so I got way behind. And I am really sad to hear it ending. It is a really good show. But I do feel like, because it has been on for 7 years, and that is quite a...
It's a pretty long run.
It is quite a bit of a run. And I feel like they might have been running out of material. Which is good. That means that they're not going to make up random crap and just kind of throw it on the air and see how well it does. That's one thing that irritates the crap out of me, is when, you know, they're like, "Oh, well, we're out of storyline. Let's just kind of wing it and see what happens."
Yeah, well, yeah, just wing it. Let's see how it goes.
You know, I think they're kind of, you know, getting out of it while they're still ahead, because it still is a very popular show.
Exactly. Quit while you got some integrity.
Well, I was going to say, it's kind of like the guys from Psych. I don't know if you've watched that show at all.
I've watched a couple episodes. It's really good.
It's really funny. So Psych was about a guy who was just very observant, is all he is, and he's a very good, you know, at finding clues and stuff. Well, he pretends to be a psychic, and, you know, helps with all these cases, and it's really funny. It's like a comedy. I
gotta start watching that again.
I was gonna say
that's a good show.
They stopped. They ended the series while they were still on top. They had a huge following behind them, and they're like, "You know what? We're gonna walk away while we're on top before we, you know, do anything." And
you know what Psych kind of reminded me of?
What?
It kind of reminded me of a police investigation version of Scrubs.
Kind of. That's kind of what it's like, except Psych is funnier.
Yeah, I do think Psych is funnier. Scrubs is one of those things. It doesn't even matter what order you watch it in. You could. I mean, literally, there's days I've sat down.
And it wasn't even really that funny. Like, it was a good show, but it wasn't that funny.
Psych was not Psych. Scrubs was one of those shows where I'd like, if I sat down to watch it, I'd probably sit down and watch like 5 episodes straight because it was like always continuously on TV, and then I'd be like, why am I still watching this?
I'd watch like 1 or 2 episodes, and I'd be like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah, it's a good show to like maybe like binge for like maybe an hour or two every once in a great while. But I'm not a huge fan of Scrubs. It's all right. But I definitely like Psych better. I want to start watching it again now.
So there's this a while ago. This is like 2002 or something. They had Stewie and Brian Griffin host the Emmys. Well, they didn't really host. They just like presented an award, and it was really cool. They did like this little song and dance. It's on YouTube if you look it up. It's called Brian and Stewie at Emmys. You type it up, and they do this little song, and in the song they say, and something about how Scrubs, or Zach Braff proves that, you know, sitcom doesn't have to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really funny because Scrubs isn't really that funny, but it was like it was a good show, but it wasn't a great show. It wasn't phenomenal. There wasn't,
It was all right. I mean, it was something you could sit down and watch for a little while.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it is. It's just something that you kind of sit down and you watch, and then you're done.
But yeah, Psych. That was a good one. Like I probably only watched a couple episodes, and it was really. I mean, it got me, but at the same time, there were so many other shows I was watching. I just got caught up in all of them. Plus, how busy we are with work, school, all that stuff. But you know, back to Pretty Little Liars. Yeah, it's like my girl watches this, and she loves this show, and I mean, I like it. It's a good show. It's not something I, would sit down and watch on my own, but it's interesting. It's exciting. It's full of mystery and thrill, and I like that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that like Supernatural or American Horror Story has, and I mean that's the kind of stuff I used to not like that stuff, but now I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of those shows that like are good, but you don't want to watch them all the time.
Mhm.
Anyway, my whole point was I feel like Pretty Little Liars is kind of doing the same thing. While they're still popular and while they've still got a good storyline, going, and they're as they may be running out of content, but they're gonna do the right thing and be like, okay, we're done. Let's end it. Answer all these questions. Tie up all the loose ends.
Yeah, I was gonna say this final 10 episodes. This is a concept that I've never seen in another show do, and I mean, they're just
I
doing.
have Kyle XY did it. Tried to do it. The very last episode was supposed to tie up all the loose ends. And I think it was like a couple episodes that they had. Which that was a show that really, like, it was a good show, but they ended it horribly.
I've never even actually heard of that. It was Kyle XY.
Yeah, it was about a boy who was found in the middle of the woods, naked, and he had no belly button, and it turns out he was like an experiment. But it's talking about his life and how he's learning, all the things that we do every day. He's learning for the first time.
That's interesting.
So it was a very good show. It was on what used to be ABC Family, which is now Freeform. So anyway, so if you like Pretty Little Liars, tune in tomorrow on Freeform and catch that catch your summer finale, and then those next 10 episodes will be back next summer. So why don't I kick this one over to Mark, and he can kind of tell us a little bit about the next Movie Madness Monday story.
All right. Well, I'm going to take us into our superhero bit for a little while because, we can't have a topic talks without a little bit of superhero talk.
I love my superheroes.
Exactly. Comic fans got an unexpected start to the week on Monday when Ben Affleck tweeted rough footage showcasing longtime DC villain Deathstroke, or Slade. Soon after Affleck's social media post, another revelation, The Wrap reported Deathstroke has been lined up as the main villain in Affleck's solo Batman movie, due out sometime in the next few years. It's still unclear what role Deathstroke will take in the DC movie universe, and if he'll debut in Justice League when the film premieres next year. Perhaps he'll show up briefly, only to menace Batman later on. I remember I was first introduced Deathstroke as Slade in the old Teen Titans show, and honestly, I thought he was a really cool character. I've seen him a bit in some other stuff too, though. Like I think he was in Young Justice for like a short few episodes, and I think he's in Arrow as well. I haven't watched Arrow yet, but I really do have to. But I honestly think that Deathstroke is a really, really cool villain. You don't see him enough in DC stuff, and I would love to see more of him. And it seems like DC is answering that call with this latest update, which I think is awesome.
So what is Deathstroke?
Deathstroke is almost like how to put it? He's like a mercenary, right? And like he's like a master like assassin. Almost he's like genetically augmented, kind of like Captain America, but not as extensively. And he also is missing an eye, and it's actually kind of shown in his suit. His suit, like I mean, part of his mask is orange, and the other part is like really dark blackish blue, and it actually doesn't even show an eye. You could look up pictures, and honestly, he's got like a really cool suit. But he's like always been shown to be like a really smart, really combat efficient, almost like a Terminator type of warrior. Right. And I always thought he was really cool. One character that kind of reminded me of him was the Red Hood, which is one of the previous Robins. I mean, depending on what, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of it. Cause
he's confused by the whole Robin situation, all the different Robins.
Plus there's all this whole DC multiverse kind of stuff, which honestly I think is really cool, but at the same time it makes it hella confusing sometimes. But like seeing Deathstroke make a big debut in something is something that I'm actually really excited to see, because I mean, Deathstroke's always been one of my favorite DC villains. But here I have the link here. Yeah, like I said, he's got like a black and orange suit.
Well, what are his powers?
He doesn't really have a lot of superpowers, so to speak. He's like genetically augmented. He's like really strong. He's like a. Here we go. Deathstroke the Terminator was created by writer Mark Wolfman and George Perez in 1980 as a primary antagonist for the comic The New Teen Titans. Slade Wilson was a former Army colonel who turned mercenary following a military experiment that turned him into a super soldier. The kind like Captain America, but not quite so extreme. Slade mostly has enhanced citizen reflexes, the kind that allow him to remain a top-notch assassin despite a missing eye. Deathstroke is so confident about his ability to thrive with a missing eye, in fact, that his costume makes his loss blatant. He often wears a blue-orange getup with a mask that has only one eye hole. If the costume looks familiar to comic movie fans, it should. The character Deadpool originally started out as a parody of Deathstroke, hence the similar names, both in and out of costume, hence, Wade Wilson, Slade Wilson. I get it, haha.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. The most famous storyline from the New Teen Titans era, is probably the Judas Contract, in which Deathstroke teamed up with a Terra-kinetic girl named Terra to infiltrate the Titans to devastating effect. Yeah, you might remember that if you watched Teen Titans, which I did. I watched it a couple times through. I think it was an amazing show. It's funny. Even though I'm more of a Marvel fan than a DC fan, I did start with DC because of the Teen Titans.
I love DC because I love the Justice League. There's a lot of
I really, really have to get on Justice League. It is like, here it is. I just started watching another show called Megas XLR. It was an old Cartoon Network show. Yeah. And it's not very long. It's maybe like 26 episodes. But I think after that I gotta start hopping on my Justice League stuff. I gotta
do your regular Justice League first, because that's what I'm doing right now, and it's awesome.
I have a list on my phone. Let me look it up real quick. But seeing Deathstroke come back is this is something I've been wanting to see for a while. Seeing Deathstroke or the Red Hood, seeing these kinds of characters with the dark, with a whole dark side going on.
Yeah.
I always thought those characters were just absolute coolest. But basically, like, there's a lot of that's kind of stuff I gotta watch. Like, I gotta watch like the Son of Batman, Throne of Atlantis, Justice League War. There's a Flash movie called The Flashpoint Paradox. We've talked about it before.
Have we?
Yes, and it's like it's the Flash movie, but I mean it's got a lot of the other heroes in it too, which is really cool. And it's just like it's one of the whole time travel, timey-wimey stuff.
Timey-wimey.
Wibbly wobbly.
Wibbly wobbly.
Mm-hmm. But I also gotta watch.
Nice Doctor Who reference. Thank you.
Thank you. I that's anybody who doesn't recognize that should be shamed.
Right.
Even if they're not a Doctor Who fan. But I still gotta watch stuff like Batman Bad Blood, Justice League versus Teen Titans. I really want to watch that.
But first, you need to get on Doctor Who. Just saying.
We'll see. But I still gotta watch like Justice League Doom, Crisis on Two Earths. Batman.
I would watch regular Justice League, like the animated series first.
I think. Yeah, it's like right there at the top. Yep. Yeah, it's right there at the top of the list.
I was gonna say one thing that I think is cool about DC is.
Are you talking about Justice League or Justice League War?
Justice League.
Justice League. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit because there's a whole list of
it's
stuff.
It's on Netflix.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, because there's a whole list of stuff on here, and it's just Justice League by itself isn't on there, which is weird. I'll have to take a look at that later.
No, the cool part about Justice League is I started watching it again, and one of the cool is they've got a character named John in the animated series, and he's actually a Martian.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter.
Yep.
Right?
He's
Mhm.
he's from Mars, which I think is kind of funny because we've proved that there's no life on Mars, but you go back to some of these TV series and they've got Martians in them, and
Mhm. Have they in the Justice League show? Did they shed light at any point on there being two different Martian species?
yes.
Because there's like the
Well,
green,
I
there's like the green Martians and the white Martians, right?
well I'm not sure if that's what it was. They talked about how John lost his family.
Mhm.
They showed him how he was they showed it what it was like when he was at home with his kids, and one day there was this thing attacked, and I thought it was the other type of Martian. I could be wrong. But they basically took his family from him. And him and the last like four Martians tried to put this power away,
Mhm.
and um, he became the only one left, and he started guarding it. And
Ye-
that's kind of how they found Superman. And
Right. There's another Martian character too. When you start watching Young Justice, her name's Megan or Megan. It depends on which character on how it's pronounced. But she's classified as, I think it's a white Martian, and they're like a different like subspecies of Martian, and it's really cool though. But like they how the Martians, they can like alter their appearance and all that,
yeah,
and I think that's really cool. That's a really cool adaptation kind of deal.
yeah, it's pretty cool. That is one thing that I like about John is he can. And then they've used that aspect of him before. They've used his power where he can turn into somebody else, to kind of trick the bad guys so they could set him into a trap. And that's actually a really cool use of, his power. One thing that I do like about the Justice League though is you don't always have the entire Justice League around.
Right. Sometimes
You,
it's just small factions of it.
well, I was gonna say sometimes you're missing Green Lantern, but you've got Flash, or sometimes you've got the Flash and Green Lantern, but you're missing Batman,
Right.
or you could be missing Hawk Girl, and
It's
so the
always different.
characters.
It's always different mixes matches.
It is, and it's kind of cool, to see who you get and what powers they have and what they bring to the fight during the middle of the episode, and that's kind of what I want to see out of a Justice League if we ever or like a live action Justice League. I want to see like them swapping people out. Maybe do a couple different fights where there's like
Almost like a tag team effect.
right like one where because they're already not kind of not doing it the way because I want the kind of the animated series Justice League,
Right.
but they're adding Cyborg and a whole bunch of other.
Yeah. You see, I wish they would do more like with the. I mean, I know it's classified as a different DC universe because DC multiverse, whatever. Where with the Teen Titans, with Robin and Starfire and Raven and all them. I mean, Young Justice has some of those characters too. Like Young Justice season 2, they bring Beast Boy into the mix. They have the Robin who turns into Nightwing, but
Yeah,
they leave out characters like Starfire and Raven and Cyborg. But I don't know. I mean, if they end
I
up
was gonna say you just listed off 90% of the Teen Titans because the original series, the Teen Titan, the original series, had Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy,
Robin,
Robin, and Cyborg.
yeah.
Those were the original Teen
Well,
Titans.
Young Justice only had the Robin who became Nightwing, and then they also bring Beast Boy into season 2, but they didn't bring in the other three. In Young Justice. They might if they end up doing a season 3, which I really, really, really hope they'll do, but I'm not sure if they will because the last season they made was in 2012. But there's a huge following online that says that they really want a season 3, and honestly, they left it on a cliffhanger, and I would really like them to see them do a season 3. So I'm, please. But there's so many cool characters in the DC universe, and
There is.
I mean, I couldn't even name them all. And but like I mean, seeing characters like Destro coming in the mix is something that I'm really looking forward to. I would like to see characters like Nightwing or the Red Hood or there's so many
I was
more.
gonna say it's really funny because I've watched a lot of because I've always been a DC fan as a kid, and but I didn't know too much about Marvel, and Because you're either raised as a DC kid or a Marvel kid. And I didn't know a lot about Marvel, but the more I watched the movies, which I love them both, but the more I watched the Marvel movies, I realized that if you look at the um the Avengers, you've got Iron Man, who's literally just like he's kind of like a Bruce Wayne.
He's like the super
But
rich guy who has all the best
honestly,
tech.
I don't think he's as cool as Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne has all these powers. Tony Stark just invents things to give him powers.
Bruce Wayne doesn't have powers. He's just ridiculously smart and ridiculously combat trained and all
Well,
that
I was
kind
gonna
of
say,
stuff.
but he's got actual skills, like
Exactly.
he
Like I
can
said,
sneak up, he can do, and I think that's something that gives him an advantage over Tony Stark.
Yeah, I think
But I mean,
Tony Stark more practices trying to be invincible.
Well, but I was gonna say, but if you look at some of the characters, so you've got Iron Man, you've got the Hulk, you've got
Thor, you got
Thor,
Black Widow, Hawkeye.
I was gonna say, but if you
Captain
look, none of them
America.
have any like alien superpowers.
Yeah, you know what? Come to think of it, the only real alien on the Marvel team would really be Thor.
And he's not even an alien; he's a god.
Right, he's the closest thing to an alien there is. But yeah.
But if you look at Marvel or not Marvel, if you look at DC, you've got
Green
Lantern.
You got Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually.
You've got Superman.
Yeah, Superman. Yeah, half their forces are aliens.
I was gonna say Wonder Woman isn't an alien, but
I thought she was. I thought she was from the planet of the Amazons or something like that.
No, she's it wasn't a planet. Anyway, she's not an alien. She's a god, basically. She's kind of like a god. So she's kind of like the Thor of
I guess that makes
DC.
Sense. That does kind of make sense.
So you've got like
the Amazons. They're like a mythical warrior race in real life. Too.
Yes.
I mean, they were. Like,
and that's kind of what they are. They're a warrior race of all females. But I mean, if you look, you can draw parallels between. But I feel like if the Avengers and the Justice League were to get into a brawl,
yeah,
I feel like the Justice League might pull out, might win.
Well, I mean, I guess there's a lot of theory and speculation on that kind of thing. Like, even though Bruce Wayne has a lot more skills, I feel like Iron Man or Tony Stark, I feel like he's just got so much more of an invincibility factor to his suit setup. I feel like maybe if in hand to hand, Bruce Wayne would win, but suit to suit, Iron Man would win.
See, but for all we know, Batman could.
He could have some kind of EMP or something like that.
Well, but I mean, he could jump around and rip Tony Stark's helmet off.
Right. Or he could have some kind of EMP bomb that shuts down the suit.
Right.
That would be. Yeah.
But then you get into Superman versus the Hulk. Well, the Hulk is a man-made, thing.
Hulk is said to be invincible. At the same time, Superman could be invincible, but Superman's got like laser beams from his eyes. He can. I mean,
he can fly. He can. It's funny because if you start drawing these parallels, at least in my mind, the Justice League would win over.
Maybe. Let's see. You also got like Thor versus Wonder Woman. I think Thor would win against Wonder Woman.
It depends.
I mean, he can harness the power of lightning. He can essentially fly with his hammer. Plus, I mean, literally, all he's got to do is get her pinned, and then he just puts his hammer on her, and nobody can get up once he puts his hammer on them.
See, but the question is, if she's a god or a god-like, would she be able to?
I don't know, because sometimes even the gods aren't worthy. I mean, there was a time in the first Thor movie where even though he's still like a demigod, he couldn't lift his hammer because he wasn't worthy at the time.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's a slippery slope. But then you got other characters too, like you got maybe like Arrow versus Hawkeye, the two not so superheroes, but they're both like master archers. You got
What about Green Lantern?
Who would Green Lantern match up well against?
Everybody.
Maybe. Let me think. Wait. Who would be a good matchup for Captain America?
Green Lantern.
You think so? Maybe. I mean, there's not really any super soldiers Batman's the closest thing to a super soldier on the DC side, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Green Lantern would be an interesting matchup against. I think Green Lantern would have the advantage over Captain America,
Oh yeah,
though.
so much.
Because I mean, Green Lantern, he can literally make any shape with his ring, can't he? Like,
Yep.
He literally can make a plane out of his ring.
That was a sweet. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
we're getting kind of off topic, but yeah, no, it's kind of cool how they're kind of expanding the DC universe and
Definitely.
adding more characters into it.
Definitely, I want to see a lot more new characters too. Because even in Young Justice, there's some cool ones, like the Blue Beetle. You probably don't know who the Blue Beetle is yet.
No.
He's an interesting character to say the least. Plus, they even incorporate Static Shock into it.
Static. Are we talking about like the?
You remember Static Shock?
Yeah, like the cartoon.
Yeah.
I love that cartoon.
Yeah, they incorporate him into the Young Justice.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is he animated all weird? Because I like the animation that they
He's
had
a little
originally.
different in animation, but it's the same concept.
Oh.
No. Yeah, he's still cool. All right.
Okay.
But anyways, so yeah, but like I said, I'm glad that they're exploring the ideas of bringing in some of the comic villains and heroes and all that stuff. Deathstroke's one of my favorite DC villains, so I would absolutely love to see them bring him into the mix. Honestly, he kind of strikes me almost as a Bane type, the guy who's super strong and super smart. But
Yeah.
But either way, we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. Actually, come to think of it, I just saw Suicide Squad last week.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
How was it?
You know what? I went in there with lowered expectations, thanks to Justin, and I loved it.
Did you?
Thanks to that. If I would have gone in there with high expectations, I would have been disappointed. But it was a really good movie. Overall.
That's good.
I liked it.
You know what I'm really excited for?
What are you excited for?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Well, you know what? That's actually what the next topic is.
I know. I was going to transition into that, and I was going to cover that one.
Well, you can cover it if you like.
So apparently, Kurt Russell is going to be a new member of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Which I think that's kind of cool. He's officially joining, and it's all thanks to Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's the one that kind of brought his name up to the director, and the director said straight out that he would have never thought of Kurt Russell until Chris Pratt said something. So Kurt Russell is going to play the Star-Lord's father.
Which I think is awesome.
His name's Ego, right?
I think so. Here's the thing. As far as the comics go, I'm not like super caught up on the Marvel end of things. I was more with the movies. So I mean, I'm not as into the scene with the comic stuff. I'm not sure what a lot of those characters are. But either way, yeah, they're gonna be introducing Star-Lord's father, who is he's some kind of alien, some kind of humanoid alien, because his mom was human and she had cancer, I think. Yeah. So I'm like really excited to see that. I'm excited to see Rocket and Groot again. They were so funny.
And it's cool because I didn't know, but Bradley Cooper played Rocket and Vin Diesel did the voice of Groot,
which are two actors you wouldn't even expect for
Not
that.
at all.
Like, I don't know where. Like honestly,
I love Groot.
Mm-hmm.
He's my favorite character.
And Rocket, his voice, like it hardly even sounds like Bradley Cooper.
But
like you could tell he put some kind of voice inflection on there.
You know what I love to do? I love to look up, because sometimes if you go on YouTube, you can actually look up the sessions of them.
Yeah, the voiceover sessions.
Yes. I love doing that because you can kind of hear that person's voice in the character.
You know what? It's so funny.
What?
Because just think of Vin Diesel. Like, just in a recording studio,
Groot.
Just I am Groot over and over again. Like, they probably had to record that like 1,000 different times, except for one "We Are Groot."
Yes.
But so I'm sorry, but that had to be Vin Diesel's by far the easiest gig, because first of all, he's not even doing any action; it's all voiceover work for him, and on top of that, his lines literally consist of "I am Groot."
Mostly.
So I mean,
you know what my favorite part about the first one was?
What was that?
Baby Groot.
Baby Groot, the little dance in the end, he's just singing the music. Like, I'm so glad that they didn't totally kill him off, because I would have been so upset.
Oh, me too.
I love the part where they're like attacking the alien ship, and like Groot, he just like extends his arm through all the guys and just like whips them around into the walls and everything.
So Guardians of the Galaxy 2 Volume 2 will hit theaters on May 5th, 2017. I can't wait that long.
No, I know for real. I mean, I'm
I'm
sorry,
I,
but this
I
world doesn't have enough superhero movies for me.
not at all. Like I really want like a Galaxy or Guardians of the Galaxy movie every year.
That would be nice. They're gonna be talking. I'm not sure if it's gonna be Guardians 2, but they are talking about doing the crossover into the Avengers faction
uh,
soon. No. That's how it was originally planned from the start. Because in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, the whole thing was about that Infinity Stone.
yeah.
And the whole Avengers thing is about the Infinity Stones. They took a whole alien factor to it, like we were talking about earlier, how they don't have a lot of alien factor to
Right.
it. Guardians of the Galaxy is the alien factor to Marvel.
Hmm.
And I think that's cool. And you know what? I know that I knew from the moment that they were talking about Infinity Stones that they're going to cross over into the Avengers at some point or another. I don't think Volume 2 is going to do that. I think they're still doing their own thing, but they are talking about doing a crossover at some point. It is a for sure thing that's going to happen. I'm almost positive because that would make no sense for them to not do it after the whole deal with the first one was Infinity Stones, you know?
I love the first movie.
The
I actually
first
want to
one-
go and watch it now.
I have like all the Marvel movies right
Like
up to
the
this
like the
point.
soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy was very awesome. It was like all old music.
There's some songs on there that were new to me because I was honestly kind of sheltered on music for a long time. But you know, there's so many songs I know now because of that movie, and they're great songs.
Right, yeah, a lot of them were awesome songs.
And like I said, they're doing they're doing Volume 2, which I think that's cool. How they did kind of like a tape deck kind of name to it with Volume 2 and all that. And I'm sure that the soundtracks for that are going to be songs from that Volume 2 mixtape that his mom made him, which I think is
Well,
awesome.
and it's funny because I'm looking up right now the Guardians of the Galaxy CD, and it's literally a picture of like a tape, and it says Awesome Mix Volume 1, and it's got the tape, but it looks like it's in a tape player.
That's awesome. So it's on a tape deck.
Yeah, it's really cool. What is this? People have bought. They've got a baby Groot.
They have a baby Groot.
They
What?
have a baby Groot.
They have you can buy a baby Groot.
You can buy a baby Groot.
Like it's like a Groot plant.
Like in a little. It says I am Groot, and it's a little. It's adorable. It's
Oh my
$14.
I'm gonna have to see this after the show.
It's really. Here, I'll drag it over here.
Okay. Still though, that's so cool that you can get that kind of stuff. Like I love it when movies incorporate like creative
They
design
get a baby Groot.
into that. Wow, that is adorable. Now that's not an actual plant, of course, right? Because otherwise they wouldn't be able to have the shape of baby Groot.
No. It's not an actual plant. It's just it kind of looks like a statue.
You know what? You could do that though. It would honestly probably be kind of painful to the plant.
Oh, Groot dances to built-in music.
Oh, that's cool. But like I said, it would probably be like painful to the plant if plants can feel pain. But like you could probably kind of like carve a little Groot face into like a Groot-shaped plant, and then that could actually grow. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, I've seen people carve like swing sets out of like a Groot sculpture, and I've seen all kinds of other Groot kind
Well,
of artwork.
last week we were talking about baby, like actual baby Groot. It was the little baby that they dressed up as
Yes, that's right.
baby Groot,
Yeah,
which was
for
very
a cosplay.
adorable.
Yeah, that still was definitely one of the cutest cosplays I've ever seen. One of the only other cosplays I could think of as a baby cosplay that was adorable was the little Magikarp onesie. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Oh, you should look up Magikarp onesies at one point. I'll point out the picture for you. But it's like I've seen so many interesting cosplays. There was one year I went to Youmacon and I saw these parents with like their 4-year-old son, and he was dressed up like Naruto. And Naruto is an anime about like ninjas and all that kind of stuff. I mean, for people who don't watch anime, but I mean, it's kind of like Dragon Ball Z, except that it's totally not Dragon Ball Z.
No, but Guardians of the Galaxy, some of the songs that they've got on the soundtrack, just hooked on a feeling,
Hooked on a Feeling is amazing.
Go All the Way,
Yes.
Spirit in the Sky,
Yes.
Fooled Around a Little, and Fell in Love.
Yeah.
I Want You Back by the Jackson 5,
Oh yeah.
Cherry Bomb,
Mm-hmm.
Escape, the Pina Colada song.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to start listening to this.
I'm about to buy this soundtrack. It's pretty legit. Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Like,
So meta.
it's really funny because in the beginning, like in the beginning series, you're like listening to the song, you're like, oh yeah, this jam into the oldies, and then you see him with this tape.
You
this
know
tape
what?
player on, and he's jamming to it, and I'm like,
You
no
wanna know
way.
You want to know something funny?
What?
This kind of brings me back to what we were talking about earlier about Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
About doing them like the improvised stuff for their scripts and all that.
Yeah.
And the scene in the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy when he picks up the orb that has Infinity Stone in it,
Yeah.
and then he drops it. That was originally unscripted. He didn't mean to do that. It was a total accident, and the director loved it so much that they kept it in the movie.
Well, and it's kind of funny. Kind of going back to that, there's a movie called Something About Mary. It had
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That's no, I did not see that. It was a while ago. I saw bits and
it
pieces.
has
It has Ben Stiller and Cameron Diaz in it.
yes. And it's funny because there's like the spot in the beginning. There's a spot when Ben Stiller's character needs an ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because he zipped his thing in his fly.
yes.
Yep, that's the movie. Yep.
And so like they're taking him on a stretcher. Well, if you watch
God,
at a
there's
point
that
like
one.
the stretcher just drops to the ground.
Oh.
They like drop him. That wasn't in the script. It just happened. It was an accident, and like you said, the director loved it so much that they kept it in because it was a funny element.
I love it when that kind of stuff happens, like the accidental stuff. And
Well, but then they
decide to
keep it in.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so great because you literally can't even think of this stuff. Like, it's great.
Yeah,
All the stuff that happens on accident, and it's so good that it stays. And,
okay, well,
that's the kind of stuff I love.
we've got about 20 minutes left, so you want to take us away with our last topic?
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny if you think we're moving away superheroes because we're not.
I didn't even think that for a minute.
It takes us right over to the Marvel Universe with Thor Ragnarok / also comparing to Captain America Civil War. During the Marvel Studios panel at Comic-Con in July, fans got a peek into Thor's downtime while everyone else was taking up sides between Team Cap and Team Iron Man. That video, Team Thor, has now been released publicly. While Thor Ragnarok director Taika Waititi is currently shooting that third film in the Thunder God saga, he had time to craft a Thor mockumentary in the style of his vampire spoof, What We Do in the Shadows, with Chris Hemsworth having a dorky roommate, Daryl, who helps him send peacemaking emails to Captain America and Iron Man during Civil War clash. I'm going to have to look this up. It sounds hilarious. It's hard to stay in touch with his friends on Earth, you see, because Thor doesn't have a phone, so he can't send his own emails and texts. Send a raven, he suggests. Am I disappointed that they didn't invite me to fight with them? The Thunder God asks in this parody. No, he answers softly. I'll just start my own team, Team Thor, and it'll be just me and Daryl. Thor has a conspiracy theory bulletin board trying to figure out what the big purple guy who doesn't like standing up is trying to do, which is a reference to Thanos, with a big golden glove and the Infinity Stones.
Mm-hmm.
He also has lunch with Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner, who complains he doesn't understand why he keeps waking up in cutoffs. At the Comic-Con, the joke ends with a glimpse of previs special effects and concept art, including Hulk charging into arena wearing gladiator helmet and armor and wielding a massive battle axe, the look of his warrior monster in the Planet Hulk comics, which we were talking about last week. Last week, the week before.
Because they unveiled the armor for what was supposed to be the armor for the Hulk.
For the Hulk solo movie, which I really, 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 really hope they do because he deserves something besides another origin story.
I was going to say every Hulk movie that I've ever done was an origin story, and I think that's kind of where they go wrong.
Yeah, it's seriously where they go wrong.
Because the story isn't really that interesting.
Right, the last one they did with that one guy who wasn't Mark Ruffalo was actually pretty good. It wasn't an origin story. They kind of did a little overview of it, but they didn't do an origin story with it. And honestly, I thought it was a pretty good Hulk movie because of that.
Yeah.
And like I said, all you gotta do is do something that's not an origin story with Hulk, and it should be great. And Planet Hulk.
Well, look at the Avengers.
The Avengers. Look at that. Hulk is probably one of the fan favorites in the Avenger movies.
Yeah.
Because he's so strong. He's so the fight scene between the Ironmonger or whatever, that big suit that Tony used against the Hulk in the fight scene in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
That fight scene was absolutely great. Because here it is, he's got this hammer that just goes back and forth, and he just puts the Hulk in a headlock and is just rapidly punching him, and Tony's just go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And it's just making the Hulk mad, even more mad, so he just keeps getting stronger. and
Right.
it's absolutely it's hilarious. So I gotta watch some superhero movies now. But I really want them to make another Hulk movie, and now that they have the whole Avengers, snowball rolling,
Right.
it's kind of a little late to do any more origin movies. So, like, honestly, if they do another Hulk movie, there's no possible way where you could responsibly make another Hulk origin movie. So, I'm sure if they do another one, which I really hope they do, it's probably gonna be something along the lines of Planet Hulk, especially since they're doing all these little teasers for it are being thrown around.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool, honestly. Like
Yeah,
seeing him in like battle armor with a giant battle axe,
it'd be sweet.
just heave hoeing at just some other big lug in an arena. It'd be great. I would absolutely love that.
I was gonna say, what if he got like captured and taken to this?
That's probably what it would be.
I was gonna say, because you got to think about it. He kind of originated on Earth, and even though they're not doing another origin story, they need to like kind of stay true to.
There would need to be some way for him to get there.
Right.
Yeah, I think there is an animated version of Planet Hulk, and it probably covers all that.
Well, there's an animated version, or there's an animated Hulk story. It's called Hulk and the Agents of Smash or something like that. It's like a kid's cartoon.
Interesting. I don't know. I just know that there is a Planet Hulk movie. I think it is, and it's animated, and I'm sure it covers all that. You know what? I might actually have to go back or go and watch it or something. Like, I really have to brush up on my hero stuff because I've seen like all the new movies for all these new heroes,
Right.
but I've never been a comic fan. So, and I hardly ever even been a cartoon fan. And Marvel doesn't really do a lot of cartoons.
Right.
And usually DC does, but I haven't gone back to watch DC cartoons for the most part. I mean, I've seen like Teen Titans, I've seen Young Justice, but I mean, there's a large faction of DC universe that I have yet to explore.
Right.
And a lot of it is animated.
Yeah.
So I have to go back and watch that. But like I said, I need to brush up on a lot of my superhero stuff because I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that I'm at shame for not knowing, I'm sure.
Well, while you're brushing up on all your superhero movies, I'm going to be ending the show.
This show?
Yes, this show.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
All right, sounds good. I'll let you go on your spiel now.
Okay. Well, there is an announcement I would like to make regarding next week's episode. It will not be on Monday. It will be on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. This is due to the fact that one of our projects or one of our classes that Mark was talking about earlier, we have to go into the field. Well, the group that actually Mark and I are in together, Monday's really the only day that we can do it, and we decided that we're all just going to hang out at the event we're going to.
Arts, Beats, and Eats in Royal Oak.
We're
doing it, people.
So we're going to go and we're going to be there all day, so I won't be able to make it back in time to do the show. But we will be having the show Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
And I will be there.
And Mark will be there.
Mm-hmm.
We may also have some other special guests because it will be our 30th episode.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
Wow, it's already been that long?
It has. So I'm going to try to see what kind of special guests I can drum up.
Definitely. That'd be
because
cool.
we've come a long way since our first show. I remember back when I kind of first started it, Zach was supposed to be coming all the time and didn't come that much, so I had to call into some of my friends, and we had some people who called in quite a bit, one of which was Matthew, who just stopped doing the show a little while because he had to go back to school. But there's another surprise guest that I think I might try to see if I can get in. I'm trying to see if I can get for next week. So make sure you tune into on Wednesday because I'm gonna call it our Topic Talks 30th celebration.
There we go.
Because it's just celebrating the fact that we made it to 30 episodes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because 30 episodes ago, I didn't think I'd make it to 30 episodes. There was a point when I did a couple shows by myself, and
it's just like
I knew they didn't sound that good. But I didn't know it didn't have that many listeners. And
how would you have reacted if let's see, you did an episode on pretty much every week, so say like 28 weeks ago, where you've done maybe like 2 episodes and they were both by yourself. How would you react if I told you in 28 episodes you'd be doing 2-hour segments every week?
I wouldn't believe you. I mean, before I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this the freeway. I'm just gonna do a two-parter, an hour show. That'll be enough. And like now, it's kind of the point where 2 hours doesn't even seem like it's enough. And
No, I mean, there's a lot of times when it's like, we're here it is, we're talking, we talk right up to the end of the show, and it's just like, oh man, I wish we had more time.
Anyway, so next week we've got a lot in store. I'm gonna see who I can drum up for special guests because I want to make the 30th episode very special. So tune in for that. We got some. I'm gonna try to keep it a surprise until Wednesday. So just bear with me. Like I said, I've got to get this project done, and that's the only day that we can do it. So I apologize in advance that we had to move it, but I'm giving you guys notice right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, we always encourage you guys to Facebook message us, Twitter, whatever. And I'm thinking about getting a Skype account for Topic Talks, and maybe
That would be cool, Skyping during the show.
we'll maybe start getting some callers. See if we can get some people to call into the show and see what they can contribute to the conversation.
That'd be cool.
I think it might be a cool addition to our show. So if you would like to call in, or if you like the idea of being able to call in through Skype, you can Facebook message me, post on the Topic Talks Facebook page, and let me know what you think of that idea. I really, really, really want a good turnout, and I really want a good opinion on this, guys. So if you think this is going to be, it's a great idea, you've always wanted to get in on the conversation, let me know. Whether it's through private message, if you feel more comfortable that way, you can just comment on some of my posts. You can, just as long as I get it, I'll be happy to respond right away. So, as always, we ask you to join into the conversation. Every week I try to post, a little something on Facebook and try to start a conversation. So make sure you get in on that. It's, sometimes they get pretty fun. So, with that, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you could always message us, like Aaron said, and you know what? If there's any kind of stuff that you guys like to hear about, let us know. That way, we can cater to you and let you know.
I was gonna say because one of the whole points of this show is, I don't like watching the news because every news station that I turn to talks about the same thing. So I'm trying to, still keep you guys informed, because you're very well informed on things like the election and stuff like that. But I'm trying to, give you the things that you care about that's not election and, all the other stuff that the world seems to be missing that, kind of makes you feel good and kind of keeps you up to date on what's going on. So if you have some topics or an idea for a topic that, you want to talk about with us on the show, let me know. Or if you want us to just talk about it and give our opinion, or if you disagree with our opinion, let us know what your opinion is, why you disagree. That's completely what this show is about. So, we're ending a little early today, guys, but I think we've covered quite a bit today, and I got to get started on getting these guests for tomorrow. I'm getting really excited and really pumped about next week's show. I'm gonna try to make it the best Topic Talks yet. So, on that note, you got anything else, Mark?
Yeah, I guess, you know what? If you are bummed out about not being able to hear us on Monday, you could always come out to Arts, Beats, and Needs. We'll be around somewhere. You could probably hit us up.
Yeah, we'll be like the five guys walking around with a camera and a tripod and microphones and cords and...
heck, maybe we'll even interview you. That'd be some fun. But, if that'd be cool, see some people who listen to the show, and either way, just hit us up on Facebook if you decide to come see us.
Yeah, if you're at Eats or Arts, Beats, and Eats, and you want to see us, just send us a Facebook message. I'm gonna have my phone on me and my tablet, and he always has his phone on him, so we'll be able to get it, and we'll probably meet you somewhere and chit chat for a couple minutes. We might interview you for our little project. So if that's of any interest to you, just let us know. And on that note, I'm Aaron Klingesmith.
And I'm Mark Wilson.
Signing off.